Elon Musk's private jet cut through a foreboding sky, piercing turbulent storm clouds as a sudden flash of lightning briefly stole his focus from the tablet he held. A man who engineered rockets for a living wasn't easily rattled by air travel, but this storm carried an unsettling edge. "How much time left, Reggie?" Elon called out to the cockpit, where Captain Reginald Dawson grappled with the controls against the worsening weather. "About 3 hours, sir," Dawson responded with a calm that belied the situation. "This storm wasn't forecasted when we left Tokyo, but it should pass soon." Elon acknowledged the update with a nod, diving back into his notes from a recent tech summit. The trip had been a success, new partnerships secured for his companies and a handful of innovative ideas to explore. At his side, his assistant Leora Chang typed rapidly on her laptop. "The Texas team's excited about your new battery design," she said, her eyes still on the screen. "They've already started running simulations." A subtle grin tugged at Elon's mouth. Leora was an exceptional assistant, always one step ahead, never hesitating to push back on his more outlandish ideas. Her keen mind and quick humor grounded him, even as his thoughts ventured into the stars. Suddenly, the jet dropped sharply. Elon's tablet flew from his hands, striking the ceiling with a crack before tumbling to the floor. Leora's laptop slid from her lap as the cabin lights dimmed and flickered. "Apologies for that," Captain Dawson's voice came through the intercom, "just some turbulence." But Elon detected the tension beneath the pilot's steady tone. After 15 years of flying with Reggie, he knew when the captain was concealing worry. Another violent shudder shook the plane, the vibrations reverberating through its structure. Rain battered the windows with unrelenting force, and a shrill ping rang out, followed by a red warning light flashing on the cabin wall. "Mr. Musk, Miss Chang," Dawson's voice grew taut, "please secure your seatbelts, immediately." Leora closed her laptop with a snap as a grating noise erupted from the left engine, fading quickly into a haunting silence, the most dreaded sound at 30,000 feet. "Left engines out," Dawson reported, his hands moving swiftly across the controls. "Right engine's overheating. We're losing altitude fast." Elon's fingers tightened around his armrests. He was no stranger to risk, but those risks were always calculated, on factory floors or test sites where he held control. Now, confined in a metal shell plummeting over the Pacific with failing engines, he felt utterly helpless. "What's our next move?" Elon asked, his mind already calculating fuel levels, distances, and survival probabilities. "I'm working on it, sir," Dawson replied, his focus unwavering despite the escalating crisis. "There's a small island roughly 40 miles south, barely anything there, but it has a beach we might be able to land on." "Might?" Leora repeated, her grip on her seat tightening until her knuckles paled. "It's our best option," Elon said, locking eyes with her. He saw fear in her gaze, not outright panic, but the stark terror of someone confronting mortality. "We'll make it through." The plane banked left as Dawson adjusted their course. The remaining engine emitted a strained, guttural sound before settling into an erratic rhythm. "Mayday, mayday, mayday," Dawson's voice echoed through the radio as he sent out a distress signal. "This is private aircraft, tail number 775X, Ray. One engine failed, second failing. 2 passengers and crew on board. Attempting emergency landing at these coordinates." Static overwhelmed the transmission, and the radio fell silent. The jet descended further, the controlled glide slipping toward chaos. "Stow anything loose and buckle up," Elon shouted, unbuckling briefly to secure items that had become hazards in the shaking cabin. Leora joined him, grabbing a coffee mug before it could smash against the wall. They moved quickly, securing laptops, tablets, and bags. At 20 miles from the island, Dawson called out, "Prepare for a hard landing." Through breaks in the storm clouds, Elon caught sight of the vast ocean below, no ships. No aircraft, just an endless stretch of dark blue. Then, a faint strip of green and white appeared through the storm. "There's the island," Elon said, pointing. "Can we reach it?" "We're about to find out," Dawson replied, his tone grim. The second engine gave a final, anguished roar before shutting down completely. The silence that followed was suffocating. Now gliding, the plane lost altitude rapidly. "Back to your seats, strap in," Dawson commanded. Elon and Leora returned to their places, and he reached over, giving her hand a brief, reassuring squeeze. Tech Summit in Tokyo, emergency landing on a deserted island, still more exciting than last month's board meeting, he said with a wry smile. Despite the gravity of the moment, Leora managed a shaky laugh. "If we survive this, I'm asking for a raise." "Done," Elon agreed. The island grew larger in the windows, a small landmass, perhaps 3 miles across, with a white sandy beach on one side and steep cliffs on the other. Dawson aimed for the beach. "Brace for impact," he shouted. Heads down, arms crossed. Elon glanced out one last time. The beach loomed closer, its wet sand shimmering in the stormy light. He lowered his head to his chest, crossed his arms, and closed his eyes. The impact was a strange mix of softer and harsher than he'd expected. The landing gear struck the sand with a bone-jarring thud, the plane bouncing once, then twice, before skidding forward, sending up waves of sand on both sides. A wrenching screech filled the cabin as metal ground against the earth. Something hit Elon's head, likely a loose oxygen mask, he thought, sending a sharp pain through his skull. The world blurred, spun, then stopped. After what seemed like an eternity but was probably only seconds, the plane came to a halt. Rain pounded the exterior, and the wind howled outside, but they were no longer in freefall. "Leora?" Elon turned to his assistant. She was slumped forward, still secured by her seatbelt, but raised her head at her name. A thin trickle of blood ran from a shallow cut on her forehead, though she appeared otherwise unharmed. "I'm alive," she said, her voice tinged with disbelief. "Really?" "Seems so," Elon replied. When Elon Musk's private jet makes an emergency landing on an uncharted island, it initially seems like a disastrous turn of events. But this remote piece of land hides a sophisticated research facility, filled with technology far more advanced than anything the world has seen. As Elon and his team uncover the facility's true mission, extracting revolutionary ideas directly from the minds of the world's most brilliant thinkers, they become embroiled in a dangerous game of pursuit with the mysterious Vivian Cole. What starts as a battle for survival evolves into a fight to protect not only Elon's inventions but the very essence of human thought. The discoveries behind this covert operation reveal a shocking connection to Elon's past, challenging everything he thought he knew about himself. Elon unbuckled his seatbelt and stood on unsteady legs. "Reggie, you okay up there?" A groan came from the cockpit, followed by Captain Dawson's voice. "I'm in one piece, just checking the systems." Elon moved to the front. Dawson sat surrounded by dead screens and unresponsive gauges, a dark bruise forming on his cheek where he'd hit the control panel. He was conscious, though. "That was a hell of a landing," Elon said earnestly. "You kept us alive." Dawson shook his head. "Don't celebrate yet. We're alive, but we're stranded. Radio's out, satellite phones down, and we're far from any flight path that might have picked up our mayday. What's our next step?" Leora asked, joining Elon at the cockpit door. She wiped blood from her forehead, smudging it across her sleeve. "Now," Elon said, peering through the cracked windshield at the expanse of Strange Island Beach, "we figure out where we are." The trio headed to the main cabin door. Dawson forced it open, and a gust of wind and rain rushed in, carrying the salty scent of the ocean mixed with something oddly sweet. They looked out at a pristine white beach that stretched into a dense jungle, with no signs of civilization, no buildings. No lights, just untouched wilderness as far as they could see. "The middle of nowhere," Leora murmured. "Could be worse," Elon said, his mind already working through survival strategies, repairs, and rescue plans. He had no idea, as they stepped onto the rain-soaked sand of this unknown island, that the crash was just the beginning of the most extraordinary journey of his life. The storm calmed by nightfall. They spent the night in the wreckage of the plane, taking inventory of supplies and mapping out their next moves. By morning, bright sunlight broke through the dissipating clouds, illuminating the island's landscape in vivid detail for the first time. "First priority is fresh water," Captain Dawson said, slinging a makeshift bag made from an airplane seat cover over his shoulder. "Then food. I'll check the emergency beacon again, but it was offline last night." Elon nodded, scanning the tree line. The beach stretched about half a mile before giving way to thick jungle. In the distance, a small mountain rose from the island's center. "I've been thinking," Leora said, applying a fresh bandage to her forehead cut. "This island isn't on any map, or Captain Dawson would have known about it before the crash." "Not necessarily," Dawson replied. "The Pacific is dotted with thousands of small islands. Not all of them are on flight charts, especially if they're uninhabited." Elon wasn't fully listening. Something in the jungle had caught his attention. "Those trees look strange," he said, pointing. The three approached the jungle's edge. The vegetation was indeed unusual. Some leaves were almost unnaturally perfect, with strange patterns. Flowers bloomed in colors Elon had never seen, including one with petals that emitted a soft blue glow even in the daylight. "That's not normal," Elon said, reaching toward the glowing flower. "Plants don't glow like that." "Don't touch it," Leora warned. "It might be poisonous." Dawson frowned. "I don't like this. Let's stick to the plan: water, food, signal for help." They followed what seemed to be a natural trail into the jungle. Oddly, the path felt almost too convenient, weaving between trees in a way that made walking easy. "Does this look like someone else's trail?" Leora asked after 20 minutes of walking. Elon had been wondering the same thing. "Too neat for an animal path," he agreed. The trail led them to a small stream of clear water. Dawson tested it with equipment from the plane's emergency kit. "It's safe to drink," he confirmed. "Almost too pure, no bacteria at all." As they filled their water bottles, Elon noticed something peculiar about the nearby fruit trees. Brightly colored fruits hung from their branches, but the trees were spaced with an almost mathematical precision. "This looks planted," he said suddenly. "Look at the spacing, too even for natural growth." Leora picked a round purple fruit. "Should we eat it?" "I'll test it," Elon said, taking the fruit from her. He took a cautious bite. The sweet juice burst in his mouth, a mix of blueberry and mango. "It's good. Really good." As they ate, Elon examined the plants more closely. Many had features he'd never seen: leaves with tiny structures resembling solar panels, roots that seemed to connect with neighboring plants. "These aren't normal," Elon said, studying a glowing blue fruit nearby. "Someone engineered them. This is bioengineering on a level I've never seen." "Like GMOs?" Dawson asked. Beyond that, Elon struggled to explain. "It's what you'd create if you were designing plants from the ground up." Leora stepped back a few paces and gasped. "Look over here." Half buried in the sand by the stream was a metallic object the size of a dinner plate. Elon brushed away the sand, revealing what looked like a high-tech device, no buttons or screens visible. "What is that?" Dawson asked. "I don't know," Elon admitted, turning it over in his hands. "But it's not something you'd find in a store. The alloy feels strange." It was cool to the touch despite the sun, its surface etched with a shifting pattern. Nothing in Elon's advanced facilities resembled this. "We should keep moving," Dawson said, glancing warily at the surrounding jungle. "Head higher up, maybe spot some ships." The deeper they went along the trail, the more unusual plants they encountered, occasionally finding other metallic objects half buried in the ground. Eventually, the path opened into a clearing with fruit trees and what looked like a vegetable garden. "This isn't natural," Leora said, staring at the orderly rows of crops. Someone's been here. Dawson knelt suddenly, examining the ground. Footprints, he said quietly. Human. Made recently, today or yesterday. A chill ran through Elon despite the warm air. We're not alone. They followed the footprints to the clearing's edge, where they disappeared into another dense section of jungle. As they debated their next move, Dawson pointed to the distant mountain. We need higher ground before dark. Maybe we'll see, a sound interrupted him. A faint hum came from deep within the jungle, rising and falling in a rhythm that felt almost musical but distinctly mechanical. What's that? Leora whispered. Let's find out, Elon said, already moving toward the sound. The trail widened as they continued, clearly maintained. They passed more gardens filled with strange plants, some with leaves that followed their movements like living solar panels, others bearing fruits with geometric shapes no natural evolution could produce. As evening neared, they reached another clearing. From there, they spotted lights flickering through the trees ahead, a soft blue and white glow pulsing gently in the growing dusk. Electricity, Elon said. Someone, or something, has power here. Or something, Leora echoed quietly. Dawson checked his watch. It'll be dark soon. We should head back to the plane, it's safer. Elon stared at the distant lights, his curiosity burning. Every instinct pushed him to investigate. But Elon's practical side recognized Dawson's caution. Venturing into unknown jungle terrain at night was dangerous. We'll come back at dawn, Elon decided. As they turned to retrace their steps to the beach, a rustling stopped them cold. Twigs snapped, and something moved through the underbrush. They froze, listening intently. The jungle went silent, even the strange humming stopped. Then, as the silence grew heavy, a voice cut through the shadows between the trees. Greetings, Mr. Musk. We've been expecting you. Elon's heart skipped a beat. Captain Dawson instinctively stepped in front of him and Leora, his hand moving toward the emergency flare gun at his waist. A woman in her mid-30s emerged from the darkness, her copper hair tied back neatly. She wore a plain gray jumpsuit with no logos or markings. Her smile was friendly, but her eyes held a cautious edge. I'm Zara, she said, raising her hands to show she meant no harm. I'm a researcher here. We detected your plane's emergency landing and were organizing a team to help. Researchers, Elon repeated, his tone probing. What exactly are you researching on an uncharted island in the middle of nowhere? Zara's smile widened. The future, Mr. Musk. Something you're quite familiar with. She gestured toward the distant lights. Please, come with me. We have food, medical supplies, and communication equipment. You'll be able to contact your team and let them know you're safe. Leora and Dawson looked to Elon, waiting for his decision. After a moment, he nodded. Lead the way, he said. But I have a lot of questions. I'd expect nothing less, Zara replied, turning toward the glow. We can answer some. Others, she left the sentence hanging in the humid air. They followed her through the darkening jungle. The path now revealed itself as clearly man-made, lined with those odd glowing plants that provided just enough light to see. After about 10 minutes, they reached what appeared to be a solid rock face on a hillside. Zara pressed her palm against it, and to Elon's amazement, a hidden door slid open silently, revealing a brightly lit corridor. Welcome to Project Genesis, Zara said, ushering them inside. Beyond the entrance was a sprawling facility that contrasted sharply with the wild exterior. White walls, polished floors, and sleek, modern equipment filled the hallways. Staff in matching gray jumpsuits moved purposefully between rooms. Many pausing to glance at the newcomers. This is incredible, Elon whispered, taking in the technology around him. Some devices resembled advanced versions of his own company's projects, while others were completely unfamiliar. How long has this been here? Dawson asked, his voice tight with suspicion. This site? About 8 years, Zara answered. But our work goes back much further. She led them to a room with comfortable chairs and a table laden with fresh fruit, bread, and what looked like roasted vegetables. Please, eat. Then we'll talk. The food was remarkable, surpassing anything Elon had tasted, even in high-end restaurants. The vegetables were bursting with flavor, almost as if they'd been engineered, yet they were clearly organic. These are from our agricultural program, Zara explained, noticing Elon's reaction. Enhanced nutrients, optimized taste, designed to grow in any climate with minimal water. You could solve world hunger with this, Leora said, examining a faintly glowing, carrot-like vegetable. That's one of our goals, Zara nodded. Along with addressing other major human challenges. After dinner, Zara showed them to guest quarters, simple but comfortable rooms with beds, showers, and clean clothes. Rest tonight. Tomorrow, Dr. Finch will meet you and explain more. What about contacting our team? Elon pressed. They'll be looking for us. A brief flicker, perhaps hesitation, crossed Zara's face. Our comm system is undergoing maintenance, she said. It should be operational by tomorrow. For now, know that your crash site is secure, and your belongings will be brought here. Once Zara left, the trio gathered in Elon's room to discuss. I don't trust her, Dawson said bluntly. This whole place feels wrong. Why hide a high-tech research hub on an unnamed island? And how did they know who you are, Mr. Musk? I'm a recognizable figure in tech, Elon said dryly. But you're right, something's off. She's not telling us everything. Leora sat on the edge of the bed, deep in thought. Did you notice some of this tech looks like your company's projects? Not identical, but like someone took your ideas and developed them differently. Elon nodded slowly. He'd noticed it too, and it troubled him. We'll get answers tomorrow. For now, we play along. Sleep came surprisingly easily in the comfortable beds. Morning brought fresh gray uniforms and a breakfast as impressive as the previous night's meal. Zara soon returned to escort them. Dr. Finch is ready to meet you. She led them deeper into the facility, past labs where scientists worked with equipment Elon could only partially recognize. One room contained what looked like a massive 3D printer merged with organic elements. Another housed rows of plants growing under specialized lights, their forms clearly engineered. Finally, they entered a large circular room dominated by a holographic display of Earth from orbit, real-time weather patterns swirling across its surface. A tall man with silver hair and sharp green eyes stood in front of it. Elon Musk, he said, turning with barely concealed excitement. I'm Dr. Marcus Finch. I've followed your work for years. Closely enough to build your own versions of it, Elon replied, gesturing to the surrounding technology. Finch chuckled. We've drawn from similar inspirations, that's all. Great minds often align. What is this place? Leora asked, her voice steady but firm. And why the secrecy? Project Genesis is humanity's insurance policy, Finch replied. We're developing solutions to existential threats, climate collapse, food scarcity, pandemics, disease, energy shortages. Noble goals, Dawson said, but that doesn't explain the hidden operation. Finch's smile faded slightly. Not everyone supports an open-source approach to humanity's problems. This concludes our narrative journey. I trust you found this gripping saga of intrigue, cutting-edge innovation, and astonishing discoveries captivating. From where are you tuning in today? I'm curious to learn which corner of the globe this tale has touched. If this escapade held your interest, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for a steady stream of compelling, mind-expanding stories just like this one. Fresh material is posted frequently, ensuring you're always in the loop for the newest spellbinding adventures. Be sure to pass this video along to your loved ones and friends. It's a great way to share positivity and insight while expanding our circle of story enthusiasts. Your encouragement is invaluable. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to welcoming you back for the next tale.